go.
Thanks for tuning in. If you out here, just excited, man.
Right on. Me too.
Yeah, if you count it back since last summer, right? First time we saw each other. Yeah, we definitely gonna be talking about that.
Yeah, that'll be fun, man. That was fun.
So welcome everybody. This is the talking segment for Remedy Radio Podcast. We got Señor Gigio right here. What's
Yo,
good, man?
what's up?
I'm chilling, man. Just been vibing. What'd you think of the mix so far? Enano table.
It's smooth. It's been smooth tonight, man. It's nice.
Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you, and just thankful that you were able to make it, man. Grateful that you made the drive out here, and just excited to have you on.
Of course, I'm stoked to be here as well. Thank you for having me.
So I know we got a live performance tuning in, so we're just gonna tease it a little bit. We hope you stick around. To all our listeners out there, wherever you are, we're streaming on IG, and you can always find the episode, listen back on Mixcloud. So, you know, the first time that we connected, we were all kind of just coming together for an event. And, I mean, I can't think of the event right now off the top of my head. It's been so long, but...
It was called Flowers.
Flowers, right? Flowers. Yeah. We just had so many. But, you know, share, you know, with our listeners just sort of how we all kind of came to this moment right now.
Sure. I mean, that was a fun night because... For one, it was like a show in the middle of quarantine season when for a minute it seemed like shit was opening back up. And it was like that small little window of like, oh, damn, everything's about to open back up. So
it was almost like that false hope right there that it happened, right?
Yeah.
Everybody was kind of starting to come out.
Yeah. And but we got it in there, right? Somehow that, you know, we came in on that window. I know I can't remember her name right now, but I know the girl from Ugly Entertainment. She reached out to me to perform.
I think that was Jiggy Ja.
Oh yeah, there you go. Yep, there you go. And yeah, I was down. I got 1 a.m. on the lineup as well. And yeah, we had that spot. First, we had the first spot booked. We showed up, but automatically. You guys were already there holding it down.
Yeah, you had your gear ready. You know, I think we were the first ones there at the venue.
Yeah.
Right. We kind of saw each other, said hi to each other, and kind of stuck through it. And then, as the evening was progressing, things kind of, you know, there was delays, I guess, to say the least. Right.
Things weren't exactly lining up.
It was funny though, but all of it made for like actually a really funny night, you know, in a lot of ways because to me it was like a throwback to just like house party days. Like, oh damn, the party got shut down here, so we got to move the party like somewhere across town or down the street. So it reminded me of that, like, oh damn, I feel like I'm freaking 17 again.
It's like the cops raided the party, guys. The party's over here at the south side now. You know,
right?
Yeah, what a fun night. And you know, we ended up moving on to the second one. I remember, you know, we kind of continued with the performances, and yeah, there was a lot of performers that night. And so you came on a little bit towards the end of the night, right?
Well, I'll say it was a little bit of overkill before me and 1 a.m. got to, you know, touch the mic, but you know, me and 1 a.m. had did a little powwow to the side, like, hey, should we tough this out? And you know, we weren't sure if we were gonna stick around or not, you know, but we were like, no, we should do it. Let's do it so we can get it in. And we're like, okay, we're gonna, you know, ride it out. And I'm glad I did, you know, and I'm glad we did too. And obviously that whole night, like I was feeling you guys the whole time because you guys were awesome DJs. You guys still are, obviously, but yeah, I appreciated that you guys were putting attention to the music and just doing shit that was different. Like you know, I never know what to expect when I'm showing up, you know, to go to different spots, but it was refreshing to be in that space with some real DJs, some cats who really love music, you know, have the heart for the music and for hip hop and just for all genres, because I could feel the love for music, period, out of it. And a lot of the stuff was resonating with me, you know, in my style. So I was like, yo, those cats are cool.
Yeah, I think one of the other things that I noticed about you, man, especially at that show, was the artwork. I mean, you were selling shirts, pins. You had a whole bunch of stuff there, and I remember DJ Table over here, you know, came back. I think you grabbed a pin or something, and you were like, "Yo,
Yup.
check this out." And I was like, "Man, why didn't you get me one, dude? That shit's fly as hell." And then that's when he told me, he's like, "Oh, it's actually from one of the artists. Like, he's got merch. I see today you got your T-shirt on."
Yep, and my jacket, that's me too. Yep, and the hat.
Hey.
Yeah, we definitely gonna get onto, you know, hearing a little bit about the drawing, the art, the visual element that comes with Señor Gigio. But you know, let's start from just let's rewind a little bit. Let's kind of get to where all of this started. You know, the origin story of Señor Gigio and how it came about.
Sure. I mean, I've been an artist since I was a kid, you know. That's like been my first love was art, and that was my first way of connecting with other kids, you know, to where, you know, there's like those awkward phases when you're like a little kid, like, damn, like, I don't know, I'm not into what everybody else is into. But I remember being in the first grade, um once I started drawing pictures and everybody started seeing like, oh wow, like Gigio's really good, let me go over to him and ask him to draw me something, you know. So then I started getting my requests, you know, like, "Look, can you draw me this? Can you draw me that?" So that was, you know, my gateway.
So it started with drawing then.
Yeah, I was real, and I
Mhm.
was very good at drawing at a young age, you know. I was very talented cartoonist, and the early stuff that I was drawing was Bugs Bunny. The Looney Tunes was some of my favorite stuff to draw. Really, like it would mainly be pretty much the Looney Tunes was most of what I would draw, and you know, some other stuff. But that was like the Looney Tunes, and then a lot of the stuff that I drew would resemble that kind of style. But that was like my favorite shit to draw at the time.
I think I can see that influence for sure, man, in terms of like a lot of the lively colors, the way that things mesh together. I mean, Looney Tunes back in the day was definitely zany.
Yeah.
Was definitely kind of like in your face, wild. I remember even the kid version, right, of the Looney Tunes, right, where they had like the green guy.
Yeah.
Forgot what his name was, but he was like the Daffy Duck version, and the
It was
Bugs guy.
Tiny Toons.
Tiny Tunes.
Yep,
There
Tiny
you go.
Toons.
Tiny
You see,
Toon
so I'll draw
Adventures.
Tiny Toons too. Yep.
Yeah, dude, I can definitely see that type of influence, man. Especially with some of your artwork that just kind of like pops out at you.
Right on. Cool.
So
Yeah.
so where did that kind of come from? You know, that sort of, you just kind of just drawing, just kind of doodling in class or on your free time. Like what were you watching?
Yeah.
Obviously Looney Tunes, but kind of what was that about?
It's very. I mean, it's interesting. I don't know. I think that drawing is such a. I think, you know, like now that you ask that, I think that, you know, at the time, you know, when you're a little kid and you're kind of being put into all these different situations, you know, like, all right, you got to go to school. All right, now you you know, you're just on everybody else's time. You're not really on your own time. You're on other teachers' times, and then you got to be in that space with other kids who are like, you know, what the fuck is that? What's wrong with these kids? You know, and I think that for me, that it just was like cathartic, and that it was something that kind of began as like, here, let me show you, even though maybe I was misunderstood or maybe I felt misunderstood, but it was a good way for me to like show that there was more going on on the inside, you know, to kind of stop and make kids and adults alike like take a second to be like, oh wait a minute, there's more going on here, you know. So I think that's kind of why it began, was out of necessity to just express myself.
Mm-hmm.
So let me ask, you know, obviously, you know, you're wearing the art now. You've grown into this different artist, and you're encapsulating a whole bunch of different mediums. But when did the rap kind of enter and blend with the drawing?
Well, for sure, I would say that once I fell in love with rap like knocked out everything. It like kicked everything else to the curb, because And I was about I want to say I was like about like 11, 12, and then and that's just kind of writing to myself, recording for myself. But then once I got into high school, I started realizing that there was an environment in my high school where there were other teenagers and other kids who were like who were open identity rappers. They were rapping in the halls, battling each other and shit. And I just remember like that. It was like literally within the first week of my freshman year at high school, which was like 2001. And I'm looking around. I'm like, what? These fools are battling each other. And I just remember like listening to a few battles, and in the back of my head, I'm like, man, the shit I have written at the spot is dope. I know a little shit on these fools, and then I worked up the gall. I know one of the dudes who I'd seen battling was an older kid who was a junior at the time. And at the time when you're like a freshman, a kid's a junior, like they seem like like a freaking grown ass man essentially. and
the truth.
yeah, and he was a tall ass lanky Brazilian dude. And I would see him after school at this at like the local athletic club, and he was pretty much a dick for the most part, like he was a dick. That was like his reputation, and I remember approaching him, and being like, hey, I rap. And he was like, shut the fuck up, you don't rap, you're a little bitch, shut the fuck up. And I'm like, no, for real, I rap. I'm like, shut the fuck up. And then I busted my shit that I had for him. It was like the first time that like I had ever like I had something memorized and I spit it at him, and then he automatically, like, his brain clicked. Like he was like, damn, that shit was hella sick. All right, we're gonna form a clique and we're gonna go around the campus and we're gonna start battling fools. And like it just, he went into a whole different state with it. And that's kind of how it began. And from there, just like I completely went all the way into it, and that became my, how I interacted with other kids, and how I, got to know other people, and how other people got to know me in high school.
What were you listening to at the time that kind of propelled that sort of wanting to write, and wanting to just battle and rap?
Sure. I mean, like the rappers at the time who really like did it for me was Nas and Eminem, Big Pun. Like in the early ages, early age, like those three dudes were very influential, like to me, and into wanting to be a rapper. And I guess the thing with those cats too, especially at the time, like they were very like in your face, so you kind of have to like be all the way balls out with it, or don't do it at all.
If you're gonna be rapping, if you're doing a rap battle against Eminem, you better bring your fire,
Right. Right. So yeah, those cats. But over time, like my influences have like grown and expanded, past like those three. But that the little seeds were planted into what kind of writing I wanted to do.
Do you think that having those big three as an influence early on had some side of effect on kind of like the type of bars that you have or things like that? Because I think when I think of Nas and Eminem especially, I'm thinking more like East Coast. And there's definitely a different sound between East Coast versus West Coast. And we've talked ad nauseum on the show about like different areas and different styles of rap or hip hop. Do you think that had any influence just because you were listening to more of that earlier on?
For sure. And the thing was too is like I was listening to all, at least what was popular, what was tangible commercial wise. Like I was listening to everything. Like I was listening to like Dre and Snoop and all the West Coast cats too. And like when the Hot Boys were coming out, all that stuff, I was listening to it, but it was more like I was bumping it. But like when I heard those dudes, like the first time I really sat down and listened to their albums, that made me want to like actually write and say something, and and the thing that struck me particularly about Eminem and Nas both was that they were, of course they were like really lyrical and great wordsmiths, but that they were good storytellers. And that was one of the things that sparked it for me. Like I was like, oh damn, they're so cinematic, like they're making movies with their lyrics. And that's what I wanted to do.
So how have you, in a way, or I guess, walk us through the process now of you making your own sound. Are you making your own music, and based on all this influence, based on your, upbringing with rap battles in the hallways in high school and everything like that. Talk to us about just the process of making your music nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, I've gone through so many different stages with it, been through so many different like, lights with it. And I mean, now where I'm at with it is it's just like it's so much a part of what I do and so much a part of just like my life process. There's not really a question in, what I'm doing with it, like am I wasting my time or am I not, or like it's pretty much 25/8 what I'm doing. My wife is on board with it. That's how she met me. She met me as, as an artist and and even at the time I was still working, but she was one of those like, few voices around me that was saying like you should quit your job and like focus on your art. But and even I think doing that, really I would say like really like once I completely committed to it, that allowed me to, I think, go into like a different space, like with my artistry, where now I've been through so many different experimental stages, like as a young guy, as a boy, you were looking at from the time that I was a boy, teenager, young, 20-year-old, freaking drinking and smoking and, just trying to, like I don't know what I'm using rap for. I know I want to do it, but I'm gonna use it for whatever else too, like if just to be the life of the party. But now, just really making it like my life and what I'm about. Like I think I've kind of held myself more accountable into making it like my real, like it's my spirituality, like it's what I eat, it's what I live, and it's kind of like yeah, I don't know, it's very deep for me, super super deep for me.
Off the mic, we were talking a little bit earlier about how you definitely lived in different parts of the Bay. Now you're alluding to having quit your job at some point to kind of focus more on the art. Also, the evolution of yourself as an artist. Do you have any like tips or life lessons that you would like to impart on the people listening out there who are also going through that process? Also trying to find themselves and evolve as an artist.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say it's not easy, and I don't think it's supposed to be easy. I don't think it's supposed to be like a straight path, and there really is no one way to go about it. And for me, I've been very passionate about music and the fact that it's even given me any kind of life at all, regardless of all these different points in my life that have been seemingly so, no guidance, like I wasn't going nowhere with it. I still had something to hold on to, like so it was always there giving me something to come back to. But I think that you know, like going into it and really saying like, well, I want to really find my voice. I really want to find my thing, who it is that I am. And when you start, I feel like using it as a medium to really like discover yourself and discover the world around you, I think that that's when beautiful things can happen. Musically, it can happen, but then also around you. That's when your life starts reflecting the music that you're making too, because it's like your life starts like I guess you would say collaborating with you to make the music too, so you start living it and it's this one kind of flow. And so yeah, it's just really allowing yourself to step into the process, go into the unknown. And it's definitely, it's nerve-wracking, it can be scary at times, but um man, yeah. And then the other thing I would say about it too is, I guess I would say yeah, I don't know, I'm losing my train of thought there, but yeah.
What's your sound? When people are tuning in, are listening to you, kind of, what would you describe your sound as?
I like to think I'm very eclectic. I like to think that I'm very eclectic. Up until now, most of my, the bulk of my work has been over like boom bap, sample based music. Like so you could say it's
Dope.
conscious rap, jazz rap, or a lot of dusty sample stuff has been the majority of my catalog. But I am trying to open up and experiment more because I love music in general too. It's just finding the right producers and people to work with. But like um, in 2020, I put out an album called The Life Aquatic, which was I'm really proud of that album because it's super eclectic. It's like I would say that album is kind of like a peek into maybe the kind of artist that I'll become. More like I'm singing more on that album, and it's also all original music. The producer I worked with, Aquaman, he composed everything, and it was a collaboration. Like just based on trying to make different kind of music. Mixing hip hop with world music and soul music and R&B and pop and just everything. And that's really what I'm into. Right now. I mean, um, I of course got the Funklore album that's coming out, and it's I would say the other part of it too is I'm very I I like I was mentioning earlier, like I'm about stories too, so storytelling is important. Um, trying to spark people to use their imagination is important for me. That's huge, and I guess you could say like I'm a concept artist as well. Um, and yeah, so I mean, yeah, I think it's very unique, and I don't think that really find anybody else doing what I'm doing. In particular, you might there's other folks who do what they do, but I think specifically to me, like shit's just hella weird. You know what I mean? Like nobody else is doing it, so.
I really like the name of that album that you put out earlier called The Life Aquatic. And
Hmm.
immediately it made me think of the light bulb kind of going off for the movie The Life Aquatic,
Yep.
which is all about also something very colorful, definitely
Yep.
with Wes Anderson's films. But that movie's all about this guy, right? The Captain Zissou, who's on this existential journey, going through loss, chasing something that nobody believes in, while also forming a team together. And there's all these different life chapters, and that's kind of what I'm hearing about you too, and how you're an illustrator, hip hop artist, concept artist, rapper. Just evolving as a person, living in different areas. I know you also had your baby recently too.
Yep. Thank
Congratulations
you.
to you and your wife. Quitting your job. I mean, there's just so much. There's so much depth to what I'm hearing you say, and I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Being vulnerable and being able to show that to all the people listening out there.
For sure. Thank you.
As we kind of venture forth into these different chapters, right? Now, I wanted to ask you more about Funklore because I know that as part of your performance, you're going to be playing some of those tracks.
Yep.
And I kind of wanted to ask, just what is Funklore about? Can you tell us more about that album as a concept?
Yeah. So, and the other thing too I want to mention too is that Funklore is going to be coming out with a comic book as well that I illustrated and wrote. It's like 16-page comic book. So like the if you were to get the physical album, it will come with the comic book, like hand in hand. But yeah, the album Funklore, I really wanted to like own the idea of like storytelling. Is important to me, especially as an MC, because I just was feeling, and I felt like this for a long time, anyways. But even more so, like recently, I've been feeling like rap is just going into a place where even cats who are like dope, they got a nice flow, they got a nice voice or whatever. But I keep feeling like I hear the same messages repeated, the same philosophy, the same life story repeated, and to me, I just feel like there's so much more to be said. There needs to be more variety, and more authenticity too. Like just allowing oneself to like just do and say something that's new or different, even if it feels weird at first. It might feel weird, but it's gonna probably end up being super fresh. you know so I mean, one of the ideas that came to me was like, there's supposedly 8 billion people in the world, and to me that should be 8 billion distinct stories, instead of the same ones that you hear repeated, which is all about like misery, loss, separation, fear, or just like, just trying to grind for capitalistic, means. And I'm just like, well, I mean, the if I'm listening to rap, I figure that there should, 8 billion people, so unique. You know what I mean? Completely different lives, and everybody got completely different lessons that they've learned. I just feel like it should reflect in rap. And so I set out with this album to make an album that's based just all storytelling tracks. For the most part, it's like, I would say it's like about 80% like storytelling songs, where it's just songs that are stories that I wrote, and also just the other songs are kind of like themes that you would find in a story. Maybe not necessarily like story, like it's set up like a plot and person, character, and all that, but they're themes that you would find in a story. And the way the whole album would play out from top to bottom. It's 19 tracks. It kind of mirrors the themes from the hero's journey, which is they say that the hero's journey is, I guess they would say like the hero's journey is kind of like this manuscript that all stories are based on the hero's journey, right? Every single thing that you hear from myth, whether it's religion, like the story of Christ, or if it's like Star Wars, or if it's the Matrix, or whatever story it is, it follows a particular,
3-act structure. There's the
yeah,
climax and the fall and all
yep,
that.
all of that. So and then you have your different archetypes, in there worked into. So the whole, at some point in the album, you get to all those different archetypes and all those different, points in the story.
That's awesome, man. I'm looking forward to hearing not only the album that's going to be coming out soon, but just seeing you perform it here live. And I can't help but think about the visual element, Gigio. And so you mentioned that a comic book is going to be released with the album. And when you're making music, just because art was sort of how you started and how you kind of began to express yourself, are you kind of drawing simultaneously while you're making music, or are you listening back and then drawing? Sort of what is that like for you?
Now I'm drawing simultaneously as I'm making the music, but it wasn't always like that. And even at a certain point, like I had stopped drawing altogether. Like I had stopped making art, and I just was working on rap. And it was like a part of me that I put to the side, and I didn't, in my head, at the time, I didn't think it was useful or that it meant anything. This is like in the times of like, MySpace or whatever, way before, I don't know, way before there was any opportunity.
That's way before
to, like,
you youngins out here. That
yeah,
are listening.
way before
Had no
anybody
time
was
back in the
looking
day.
for art. You know what I'm saying? People weren't really looking for art like that. I didn't think of it. I didn't think it was useful, but just the more I got into, you know, releasing my music, because I've been very consistent too. I've like, and again, I've like reinvented myself too, but I've like consistently been putting out albums since like 2007, and just getting into that flow. Like I needed artwork done, and there and sometimes I would go to try and with another artist, and just hated being on somebody else's time. You know what I mean? And finally I came to this point, and it was like right around the time that I quit my job too. It just like kind of like struck me. I was like putting out an album. I was getting ready to put it out, and I needed artwork for it, and I was like, I can't ask anybody to do this. So I drew it myself, and it just kept growing from there, and that was about like 2013, and I haven't stopped since.
That's definitely a metamorphosis right there, man, and just being able to put out albums more rap based, and then it sounds like more collabing with others for the artwork, but then fully embracing that artistic side yourself in 2013.
It's very liberating. It's super liberating, and honestly, like I think that it has helped me tremendously, because where I was at the time, just like focused on wanting to be like the dopest rapper. Like I want to be the dopest rapper. That's it. That's all I cared about. But what I didn't realize was that, drawing and making the art for the music was basically like it kind of helped people understand what I was doing. Like they started to get the whole picture of what it was. Because it's all, my music's always been a little kind of different. You know what I mean? So I feel like once the art started coming into it and the visual aspects started coming into it, then people can kind of sense like, oh wow, like there's I get it now. I can get that there's something to this than just like you're not just a rapper. You know what I mean?
One thing I've always appreciated, sorry to cut in, and I know is always, whenever I see you, whether it's in person, right now, or when I see you on social media, is you're always wearing, your artwork, and I think that's awesome because, when you, traditionally when you think about showcasing your art, you're either kind of like putting it up in a gallery or selling prints, or kind of selling just apparel, or like attire, maybe some pins, maybe some hats. But you got the shirt on, that's full on, Señor Gigio, and I love that. I got the pink one with the jaws. With the jaws drawing, and the girl that's swimming on top, my lady's got that one out there. What are you wearing right now, man? Does this represent some of what we're gonna be listening to here, Funklore?
Yeah. Well, I'm not gonna be doing this song tonight, but this is off of the album. It's a idea from the album. It's called "Citizens of a Super Duper Nature" is the song. So I'll stand up. You can check it out.
Yeah, for sure, man. Or right there too with the cameras.
You can see you can see my character, right? You see the little Chinese girl on it, right?
Yeah,
She's a little Chinese girl. She's bursting sun flame out of her eyes. It's it's a
That's a recent track that you just released not too long ago, right?
Yep. And this will be on the album. Yeah, and that's one of the stories on there, that's about this young girl, her name is Annie Lee. She's Chinese American, and she just has certain superhuman abilities.
That's awesome. I've never really seen like somebody be like, the shirt is the name of the song and it's the visual of the song, and it's like it just adds more, adds more depth. Like you said, you're in deep in this, and it just continues to add to the element of Señor Gigio. Whether it's the music, the visual, the apparel, right, the identity, all in combination. I think it's beautiful.
Thank you, bro. Thank you.
Here on Remedy Radio, for those listening, y'all been seeing us out here kind of exploring how to also add more of the visual element and things like that. And here we have an artist who's actually accomplished that. We got an artist here who's been promoting that, wearing the art here in front of us, and something else I wanted to ask is, in particular, because right now we're so focused keyed in on like adding the visual element even to our own show. But can you tell us a little bit more also about not just illustrating the comic, but also perhaps illustrating or doing the artwork for the music videos?
Yep, I'm doing. Last year I started doing animation, so which was like that to me. I mean, I'm still stoked off of that, like because that essentially was like the childhood dream, when I'm telling you guys about when I was like 5-6 years old, drawing, like, I wanted to make cartoons, I wanted to draw and see it on TV or something, but and then to finally get to it, I don't know, it just it's I'm still stoked off of that, because it's still a new feeling. But I started doing animations for the music video, and what you'll see is I've so far released, there's about like maybe about four or five, two that are very strong featuring the animation, and then maybe the other two just like little bits of animation sprinkled in, like as part of the visual, not the whole thing, but two strong animation videos. that's released. I got more in the tux, but essentially like the process for me doing that too is drawing everything on paper, and I'm using tracing paper, and I'm making the scenes, and then I'm scanning it and transferring the scenes to Photoshop and making the scene on there, and then I'm animating it on Premiere.
There's definitely a lot of different layers to that, man.
Yeah, yeah, it's what works for me. I know other people got their own flow of what they do. I know some people like to draw, or they have the little digital pen that they draw on the computer screen, but that wasn't really working for me, so I went a different route with it.
You can never go wrong with the old school, pencil and paper.
Yeah, it's a little, it's some old school to it, and then it's the digital aspect too, so it's a nice little blend of both.
Tell us a little bit, before we go to the performance, just where we can find Funklore and sort of where
and the rest of the catalog too.
Yeah, the rest of the
Where's
catalog,
that?
and when it's going to be released, when people can be tuning into this.
Yeah, so Funklore is going to be out April 22nd, and that'll be out, on all the major streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple, everything. I'll of course have it up on my Bandcamp, and I'll also be selling it directly through my website. So like, I encourage people, like, if you bump it, at least bump it. If you want to bump it on Spotify, Apple, I don't really care. You know what I mean? If you want to bump it on YouTube, that's what's up. But I of course I like people to know that I'm selling my music too, and that's why I also have the physical experience is important too. That's why I make the CDs, and the CDs it's a cool little artistic experience itself. I spend a good amount of time making the art aesthetic for it, and yeah, if you buy this CD, you're gonna get the album, and you're gonna get the comic book, the 16-page comic book together. So it's it's a nice little package right there, and I'll throw in little other pins and stuff with it too. So yeah, people can get. I don't have the pre-sale set up for it yet, but I will. But yeah, so just continue to follow me on IG is the best way to basically look me up.
You heard it here. Tune in, stream it, but go and buy the album. Go
Yeah.
and take a look at the experience of the comic book, get just the holistic experience of Señor Gigio, whether it's, from listening to the album to checking out, the comic book. I'm excited, man, to just be able to engage with your art. I think that's something that you really don't hear much. You kind of, you hear a lot of people talking about kind of, breaking through that frontier. But this is a prime example of engaging with the artist, engaging with the art, just more than just the oral element of it. You really got the visual, the tactile, right? The comic book feel, all of that.
Yeah.
So I encourage you all to just buy the album, get the gear, check out the comic book, all here.
Yep. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. And people, you can go to my website, which is www.senorgigio.guru, and in this case, Senor is SENORGIGIO.guru. Otherwise, if you're looking me up on any other platforms, it's Senor with the Enye, the N with the little squiggle above it. So yep, look me up on YouTube too. Go check out the music videos. I got some good ones coming soon. So I'm excited for this new chapter.
Absolutely, man. You heard it here on Remedy Radio Podcast. I guess just before we jump into the live set, man, is there any last words that you would like to say for the listeners out there? Anything that you'd like to drop right now?
Or baby. Oh man, just
I gotta
thank you
get
for
my
tuning
bars
in
up,
and,
son.
Support
I
these
gotta
cats,
get my
support
bars
Remedy
up.
Radio. Make sure you show them love,
Shit.
and keep rocking
Need
with
to
what
exercise
they're doing.
as a
These are good
rapper.
brothers
Need to
right here,
exercise
and,
my right.
and they got a good platform, and I rock with the music, man. So yeah, let's keep spreading the love. Show love to your artists. Support your homies. Support your dope homies, especially in particular. So yeah, I'll put that message out there.
Appreciate you, my guy. We're looking forward to hearing you live. This is if I'm not mistaken, this is the first time you're gonna be performing Funklore live, right?
Yep. And I'll be starting out. I'm gonna do 3 songs that I've already put out, but off of other previous projects, and then I'm gonna get right into doing 5 songs off the upcoming album.
For sure. For those of you tuning in live, keep tuning in on Instagram. Check us out at Remedy Radio Podcast. You can also find the live performance on Señor Gigio's live stream on IG. So check that out. But coming up next, we got the live performance. Thank you so much again, man.
Of course. Thank you, brothers.
On here.
Appreciate
Absolutely.
y'all.
This is Remedy Radio Podcast, episode number 93. And always remember, wherever you may be,
We the Remedy.
Yeah. All right, y'all. This is dedicated to the ones we lost in 2020. Yo. Enter into the center room of the Temple of Boom. May we remember those whom gone too soon, return to the celestial womb. And yet I can still feel their presence loom. Treasures in a tomb, decorative and jeweled, heavenly attuned, heavily impressed that I menace spooks. So I pay my respects to MF Doom. Put you in touch with your inner eye with a rhyme, so you can perceive the simple truth from the bigger lie.